Hello everybody and welcome to another ARC video. Today we're in ASA and we have been playing with the build system, and oh boy do I have a good one for you. I have spent some time building and I have another video coming up which will be a nice little example of my building, which I'll put a quick screenshot in here.
Wow.
So if you want to build like that, well, follow my tips and you'll be well on your way. So we're going to go over 10 easy build tips that you could start incorporating into your builds to come up with some cool stuff yourself. Without further ado, let's get started. Tip number 1, short door windows. So as you see here, this is an example of what we're looking at. And you might be wondering, well, how the hell did you do that? Because typically when you build a window, it's going to be kind of squarish, but luckily, I have went ahead and put everything we need in this little box here, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. So what you're going to need is any kind of wall you want to use. I personally really particularly like using the wood on this, but you can use any kind of wall that you like as long as it's got a door variant, then you're good to go. And then what you're going to do is you're going to grab some of these, the quarter walls, whatever type you want to use. Just generally try to make sure that it matches with the type of door that you're using, and then you're gonna place those down on the bottom half of the door there, and then what you want to do is snap another doorway right on top of those quarter walls. Now this gives you these two little openings right here, and you can make them a little bit more special by going actually down one more notch and adding a little extra texture in there, but that's not really what this tip is about. This tip is about the windows, of course. So this is how you can maybe spice up a wall that maybe is looking a little boring. One thing I want to mention too about this design that's a little extra cool about it is that you only actually need to put in one door on the upper window there, and it'll cover both because it's technically a door frame. Now you can still see the handle there on the wood side, but if you're not really looking for it, you don't notice it. And on this side, it does look a little bit wonky, I'll give you that. So the stone definitely consumes the glass door a lot nicer. So you might consider using stone, but I still think that with the wood, with that extra texture, it's not really stand out, so it does look quite nice. Although you may have to contend with the inside looking a bit wonky. Tip number 2, secret walls. You can do lots of stuff with secret walls. They're not just doors. As you can see here, we have some interesting textures going on these walls. Here's what normal walls look like. Boring. You got one stick there. As you can see, I generally like to flip my walls around because if you look on this side, yeah, the stone walls are just kind of plain. But if we're talking about this side, you can create all kinds of cool patterns simply by taking your walls. And I'll actually show with the wood walls here, so you can, because you already got a chance to see what they look like with that one. So what you want to do is place down the doorway. And then we can also try it with just the regular doorway, so you can get a sense of what this is going to look like. And just as an extra treat, let's go ahead and slap down that as well, because we can even do something there too. And then what you can do with this is you can go ahead and select yourself the secret doorway. Now, normally, if you were to place walls down on top of a wall, it would destroy the wall, right? But not with secret doorways. In fact, you can just place them down and you can create these really cool textured looks to your walls that kind of add a little bit extra depth on them. You could also place them into a window wall, but see, that doesn't really look like anything, right? You could use a wood one for that, or you could use a stone one and create some different texture varieties, or if you, if you flip the wood walls around the opposite direction than the way they're currently facing, you can create different patterns that you normally wouldn't be able to get. And of course, just as a little added bonus to this tip, again, try and experiment with these things, because if you use mixed different types of materials here, you can end up with some really interesting looks. Some of them look a bit wonky, for sure, but just think about how you can incorporate these looks into builds, and before you know it, you've got something really interesting going that's going to look a lot different than anything anyone else is building, and you get to unleash your creativity just a little bit more. All right, now for step 3, you may have seen it in the background of the last step. Fair enough, I maybe should have put it a little bit further away, but that's not the point, right? The point is we have overhangs. You can create overhanged roofs really easily using the new piece that is the quarter ceilings. They're really interesting pieces, and all you need to do... Oh, that's the wrong one. So they're really interesting pieces, and you want to just place them just one around, all the way around. And then here's the tricky part though, right? This is all well and good, and it's probably not that surprising, right? But what a lot of people don't know is how to solve this issue. When you're building, you may run into a little bit of problems like so. Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't want to place, but as you can see, the reason it doesn't want to place is because it'd be intersecting with that one. And that's not what we want. We want that nice meeting roof there, right there, the nice tip, the nice triangle. So how you're going to do that is you're going to find yourself any old quarter wall, and you're going to place it down. There we go. Right there's good. We'll do the same over here. And then what this allows us to do is it allows us to place these stone roofs on that singular piece right there, and it unlocks a few different snap points. So as you can see, we could do an overhang down where it extends further down, or you can build off the top point, and as you can see, there we go. We can get that to connect nicely so that you don't have any gaps or any overlaps. Number 4, lattice works. So okay, these are pretty interesting. It's just kind of going off that idea of making walls more interesting. I see a lot of bases just have really plain looking walls, and this is a nice easy way that you can spice up your walls. So as you can see here, we have a few different options here. They kind of look similar, but they're a little bit different. And then if you intersperse these quarter walls with different types of door frames and windows, you can create some really cool effects, and you can mix and match. So let's go over on this side, and I can kind of show you how this works. So let's use wood. I really like wood. Wood's my favorite material to build with, so let's use that. So let's put down a few different types of materials here, and let's do some windows as well. Sure, yeah, let's do like that. Okay, and then you can switch over to these, and you can place them whichever direction you want, right? And you can get a different design. So we'll have these facing the same direction as the door to get that cool little extra 2 planks coming up the top there. You can continue that up and get another cool design by doing that. And as you saw there, if you want to, you can even create a smaller window just by doing like that. Or mix and match. You don't always have to use wood on wood, right? You can mix it up. Intersperse some stone into it and create some neat, interesting designs that you might not have thought to do before. So yeah, there it is. I really encourage you, play with it. See what you can come up with. There's all sorts of different combinations that you can use with these new quarter pieces. Okay, step number 5. We have railings and beams. Making interesting fences can be kind of a challenge. You can, of course, use the new fence pieces that actually look pretty cool. And of course, you can flip them and stack them and do whatever kind of cool design that you want just off the base thing. But there's actually a couple of ways that you can get some even more interesting designs by taking advantage of pillars and beams to get some more interesting mechanics. So as you can see here, we have a bit of a different snap point. So how you want this to happen, if you want to have a fence that is a full pillar high, then of course you're going to want to make it a full pillar high. But for this demonstration, we're going to make it half a pillar high. So how you go ahead and do that is you're going to want to place any old quarter wall down. That's just temporary. And then you're going to want to add a pillar to it. Bam, just like that. Now we can go ahead and safely remove that. Once we add another one over to the other side, like so. There we go. All right, now this gives us access to an extra snap point. Now you don't actually have to put a beam on top. That's a bit strange that that's not placing there. Usually it would. I'm not sure what's happening. It works over here. All right, well, ignoring that, we'll go over to this one. Sometimes art just has weird little things like that, and sometimes you just have to start the build over when things don't go right. But as you can see here, you have these 2 standard snap points, right, where you can do that. But because of this pillar on top, and actually it's also the pillars on the side, it gives you access to this extra snap point, so you can make these cool double cross fences. And of course you can use other structures, not just the wooden ones. Of course there are also the stone fences that you can use. Come up with some interesting designs, although I haven't really found any ones that are like super interesting to me just yet with the stone ones, but I'm sure they're there. If you work at it, I'm sure you can come up with something kind of cool. I mean, that doesn't look too bad, right? But yeah, I encourage you to mix and match, play around with the different pillars. You can also use wood pillars, of course, and see what you can come up with. Tip number 6, using quarter walls to make extra thick pillars. All right, this one's pretty simple. It's nothing too complex, right? But it may be something that you have overlooked, so I wanted to cover it real quick because I haven't seen many people doing it. But actually, all you really need, if you want maybe a thicker pillar, right? Maybe just these regular pillars don't have the oomph. They don't look supportive enough for whatever structure you're kind of trying to build. So what you want to do is actually just use the quarter pieces, and you can make yourself an extra thick pillar, however you want it to look, and make it nice and stacked up. And now it looks a bit weird like this, but I always recommend placing some pillars down to add depth to any structure. Really, seriously, the pillars and beams especially are some of the best items that you can use in the building system in Arc. Really encourage you. Use them. They look so good. And you can mix and match the wood and the stone to get some really cool different color variations. Tip number 7. Wood railings and wood roofs to create a more supported look for a platform. This looks pretty good, doesn't it? This does not. That doesn't look very supported. No siree. So how did I make this look so supported? Well, I added a bunch of extra detail. Those details would be, take your wood roofs, put them this way. You can flip them whichever way you want. I find this way to be pretty interesting looking. You can also use ramps depending on if you want the angle to be a little bit different. But you just want to slide those on. That already adds a nice bit of texture and makes the structure appear much more solid, like it would actually stand. Then, of course, add in pillars and beams. This is going to add a nice little layer of depth onto a flat surface, and that makes things look a lot more connected and strong. We can put them around this way as well, and it adds a little bit extra stuff, but it still looks kind of strange, right? Take your wood railings, make sure that they're flipped this way, and then snap them onto each side of each individual roof that you place down. This gives you a really nice effect. These little triangular structures that all connect, and they really look like they're support beams holding the structure in place. I'm really, really happy with this. This is something that I used in my most recent build, and I really strongly suggest you start incorporating it. It's a nice, interesting look. Okay, this next one is a simple one. Have you ever experienced the following? You're just trying to place a pillar down. Right there. You just want that there. That looks a bit strange, that connection right there. So you want to put something to kind of highlight it. Well, unfortunately, the pillar doesn't want to go there. The beam just will not place. What do we do about it? Very simple, my friends. Let me show you. All you're going to need is a ceiling of any kind. You can use a quarter ceiling, whatever you'd like. In this case, I guess we're using a hatch frame. Place those down. You only really need one, to be honest. Then you're going to want to grab your beams. And look at that. You can place them down. And then as long as you connect it to that first one, bam, there you go. And now we can safely remove that, and the pillars will stay. Now, this next one is one that I really, really like. Number 9. Did you know quarter pieces absorb glass walls? They sure do. Now, I don't really need to build on this one because I've already built a few different variations, as you can see here. But let me go ahead and break it down so you can see what's happening here. All you have to do, place down whatever stone wall you want, or wood wall, and it pretty much gets absorbed. Now, some pieces you can see through just a little bit, like on the wood side here, but on the stone, completely sucks it up on both sides, so you don't have to worry about it at all. This allows you to create different sized windows. So if we just place that back down, this might allow us in a situation where we want some extra windows, but we want them to be a particular shape or size. Oh no, I placed that wrong. No! You can create these kind of effects where, get all sorts of different types of windows. And I did it again. As you can see here, the quarter wall really gives you a lot more freedom in deciding exactly how you want your windows to look. You can even create some interesting, neat little designs out of these. Like, for example, you can create any shape you want to. Now, I don't suggest making this shape, but it's just to prove a point that really, whatever you can think of for a window, as long as it confines to these kind of quarter wall pieces, you can create them using this method. And now you're still going to have the little metal bits there, but there are certainly mod structures that are a little bit more friendly to use than the greenhouse. But still, I think it's a pretty neat trick, and especially on my build, I used it a lot to cover up the bottom there because I personally just don't like having that metal bit show. So for me, I really like to just have the 2 quarter wall squared windows here. All right, and number 10 to finish it off. This is such a neat idea. I can't remember how I came up with it, but nevertheless, it's one of my particular favorites. You can use those quarter wall pieces to create little flower pots outside of windows here. I've created an example of such. And then if you use some stairs on the opposite side, facing into the wall, just making sure you're lining it up like this, flipping it around, selecting the stair option. Now, you used to be able to do this in ASE, but it was a lot harder to make it happen. They've made it so much easier now, so you can invert stairs to create these really cool tapered effects coming down from your flower patios or porches or whatever you really want. But I particularly like how the quarter pieces are just the perfect size to put the small crop plots outside of some windows, so you can have a nice little flower garden outside your window of your base. So that's going to be about it for this video today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope some of these tips are useful to you. I have more scheduled coming up soon, so keep an eye out if you're interested in learning a few more of the cool little tips that I've discovered playing with the building system so far in ASA. And together, we will become better builders. If you have any cool tips that you'd like to share, please let me know in the comments. I am by no means an actual professional at this. I just really like building. So if you have any cool ideas, I really want to know them so that my builds can get even more complex and creative than they already are. If you made it through the whole video, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
No. Wait.